Hello, beautiful people. I am back for day 4 of Earth University, where we'll cover Nikola Tesla today, who was probably in the discussion for one of the greatest minds of all time. We'll get to him in a little bit. I wanted to do some quick updates on what else is going on. So I've continued to weave the web online with my stories, which today I used Fleetwood Mac's Go Your Own Way for one of them, and then that leads into a post that I display 2 pieces of my artwork that involve being a star, and there's some music that goes along with each of those as well if you click on it. And then I also wrapped it up with The Way by Fastball, which I used to basically show how we can easily miss the meaning behind certain things, how our minds can easily be tricked, and what the true meaning behind that song is. So they all tie together, and actually the things I've talked about in the posts tie in with the things I talk about here as well. It's all one big web. So in the how to be a star portion of it, I had talked about the constellation Orion, and that is obviously something that I think everybody should be familiar with up in the sky. But I explained a little bit about what his story was and why it's actually way more important and spans. So Orion, the story is in Greek mythology of Orion that we know. And there's a few different stories that explain how he ended up as a constellation in the sky. But I'm not so much concerned with which one of them you believe or don't believe. But I wanted to talk about what the ancient Greeks believed, and not just the ancient Greeks. It spanned into other belief systems and civilizations all over the world throughout different times. They all believe the same thing about Orion, the constellation of Orion. So basically what Orion symbolizes in Greek mythology, what he represents, is being like this warrior spirit, hunter. He was kind of living in both realms of human and God, which sounds familiar with Isis. He is known as like a guardian looking over. And then the thing that is really relevant to the things I discuss, he's basically known for transformation, death, and rebirth. He's basically like this spiritual guide for not only the Greeks, but the Egyptians, the Mayans, Indian folklore. They all have gods who basically are the equivalent and represent the same things that Orion does in Greek mythology. And they all believe that he's watching over and is the guide. And when you die here on this earth, he helps you to have a safe passage to come up into the sky, to be a star with him. So it represents the healing process and the life's journey to like death and rebirth. They're talking about the ego death and rebirth as your authentic self, like I talked about with Carl Jung. It's all the same conversation. It's been going on throughout time. And we've gotten so far from believing what all of these, at one time, some of the greatest civilizations that we've ever known, that we just have relics of the past. And we thought that they were somehow inferior to us. But I can assure you that was not the case. At one point, all of these, and we can, I'll do a deeper dive into some of the lost civilizations of like Atlantis and even Babylonian and Sumerian folklore or mythology. He's closely associated with Gilgamesh, and there's actually a term, the true shepherd of Anu, is a figure who walked between the worlds of gods and men. Stars were gods, guardians, and storytellers. So, Carl Jung was a brilliant guy who did his research and was a psychiatrist. That's what his profession was. And we'll talk about Nikola Tesla today, who was a brilliant guy who underwent his own death and rebirth, understood things, but he was an inventor. He was meant to be hands-on. We all have roles to play. When we find our purpose, we discover what our role is. So it's clear to me that my role is not to, like Nikola Tesla, bring the stuff to life in the physical. My role is like the true shepherd of Anu, to be the storyteller, to be the voice, the guide, the guardian that helps people, you might say, bridge from this reality, our 3D, to the 5D, but then also that assures you a safe passage, because the goal is to live a life with meaning and purpose and find what that is, which we have to heal to do that. So if you do that, you become aligned with the universe. You become in good favor, good standing, which assures you safe passage to the stars. It's not a new concept. It's a concept that goes against consumerism and profiting off keeping people stuck in the ways that they have been programmed and conditioned to be. But it's gone way too far. And yeah, it is happening now that the balance, which is a fundamental principle, becoming whole with yourself, restoring balance to yourself, mirrors the same thing for the earth, for the world, for the universe. We are in the process of restoring that balance. So my role is to tell the story, to wake up people to the actual reality of the world, and try to guide them. So I told a story yesterday when I started about my mom and about my daughter. So I guess this could be your first quiz to see if somebody's been following me now, watching all my videos. Did you pick up on why I did that? Did you see the deeper meaning behind the reason for me telling those stories? I've preached about pattern recognition to uncover the secrets of the universe. You have to be able to have pattern recognition, which is one of my strong suits, to be able to see the connection between things. A bridge, if you will. I am the bridge between my mother and my daughter. I'm the link. The bridge. There's meaning in everything if you're paying attention and you're aware and awake. There's definitely things being presented to us on a regular basis that are trying to assist us. So the way that I ended it yesterday was about introversion and extroversion and protecting your energy. I made reference in the articles about having to possibly go your own way from certain people, or at the very least, just not agreeing to everything, especially if it's something you know is going to drain you and you have other things to do. You have things that are more important in the grand scheme of things, the higher perspective. There's nothing more important to me right now. It's my daughter and doing my part to fulfill my purpose, my assignment, the mission that I'm on here. So, I'm at my parents' house, and one thing that has been consistent throughout my life, it used to drive me crazy, was we'd always have a million things in the garage and all over the house. Like, I hated clutter. I like knowing where my things are. I like being able to easily access my things. which is another reason why all of the moving around and not having access to my things and all that is like, that was very well designed on their behalf to try to frustrate me and make me lose my temper, lash out, you know? Anyway, my parents decided, after me not living with them for nearly 20 years, that now is the time to get a dumpster. And my brother's at the house, my sister and my niece are at the house, and this morning, like, I'm listening, I'm in the room listening, and it's just arguing and bickering and yelling and screaming. It was just basically my childhood. I would have 100% in the past been the one person out there all the time, not knowing what I should throw out or what they want to keep. And if I threw something out that somebody didn't want me to throw out, then it would become a fight, because to me, I'm like, well, then you do the job, you know? Why am I doing this for you then if you don't want my help, you want me to do the work? It's not even the work for me that's the draining part. I could do, if I was by myself and was tasked to do that and nobody cared about what got thrown out or what got kept, I could do that fine. It wouldn't drain me that much. It wouldn't be that exhausting. It's everything else. It's the unnecessary way that they think about it, you know? They don't think about it that they're clearing out clutter and opening up space. They see it as like a chore that is they don't want to do, and as a result, they're all at each other's throats. So anyway, my mom came into the room, asked me if I could come help my dad and brother, who I hear outside bickering. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to do it. I can't derail my day, waste my energy, stop doing all of the important things that I'm doing because you guys decided conveniently, you know, like I said, after 20 years of me not being here, you decided that this is a good time to do it. And, you know, people would look and probably get upset with me that I'm not helping. But one, it's not my stuff. Two, it's just, my whole life, I've sacrificed for other people to help them with this stuff. Like, it's kept me from being able to do what fulfilled me and what my passion was, because I was always pushing things off because something seemingly always came up. And people would say, oh, that's life, you know, things are always going to happen. It's just like, my life, when it's just me, not that much chaos happens. I've talked in the past about chaos agents, seemingly like when the people that were at odds with me couldn't get to me anymore. It was like a revolving door of these other chaos agents, all coming in to try to steal my energy. But that's an end of an era. That's in the past. I've become the ultimate agent of chaos for all of their lives. Because they can't control me anymore. And the truth is, everything I do comes from a place of love, comes from a place of doing my purpose for being here. And it's for a much bigger reason. So whether they think that I'm being mean or too harsh or whatever, I'm not getting reprimanded by the universe. I'm getting applauded. And I'm still manifesting my desires because I'm in alignment. And the things that I am putting out there are positive messages of love and self-growth and development and healing to help the greater good. On the flip side, when I get them triggered, and that's projection, I can feel their energy already. I get them triggered and they react, and their true colors come out that they're very good at hiding when they're around other people. And they say these things that have power. They're manifesting in a low vibration with negative words and bad intentions. Well, that's what they're manifesting into their lives. They think that they're manifesting it into my life. Not anymore. That used to work when you kept me at a low vibration and at a low frequency. It doesn't work anymore when I'm perfectly aware of what you're doing. It's called the law of return. There's things that you wished upon me will play out in your life. The judgment that you cast upon me will be cast upon you. That's one of the laws of the universe. So when it happens, it's not some voodoo witchcraft spell that I put on you. I don't give you any thought unless I can feel that you're still up to the same things in the background. I think I've proven my ability to do that at this point. You're bringing all this stuff onto yourselves. We are the architect, the creator of our own reality. I'm building something beautiful and positive and a better world into my life. You're building all of those negative things that you were wishing on me. So, at this point, the people who have gone too far down the wrong path, they will be the examples. I'm not trying to scare them. It's just what's going to happen. So I hope the people who aren't already too far down their own way of doing things will see it and understand that it's time to maybe do things a little bit different. So, let's see where we got here. So, yeah, I've obviously, a quick recap. We started the week off with Plato, so Greek philosopher, one of the great civilizations, then went to Isis. So, to tie it back into Orion and the article that I wrote, remember I talked about Isis bringing back one thing about Orion too, for the Christian folks that might be watching. Orion was said to have walked on water long before that claim was made about Jesus Christ. So, just saying, maybe there's some common threads in there after all, right? Maybe Jesus Christ wasn't the only one that had seemingly supernatural abilities, but walked upon us. Maybe Jesus Christ just happened to be the one that stood out in a time that badly needed him. The world badly needs more people like him right now. But anyway, going back to Orion and Isis, I talked about Isis being basically a healer and how she was involved in transformation and all that. Well, turns out that Osiris, the Egyptian god of the underworld, is basically the equivalent of Orion in Greek mythology. He was thought to have been up in the stars in Orion, in the constellation of Orion, what we know it as now, as a guide, protector, and basically the one who would assure you safe passage if you did the right things, if you fulfilled your purpose, you were living in alignment with the universe. Another weird coincidence, right? So, Egypt, we've been told from birth how the pyramids were tombs. Not at all. It's not what it was. I think it's pretty clear nowadays that that's not it doesn't really make that much sense that would be what especially with these beliefs. The beliefs that they have, when you actually understand their belief system and what it means, what the goal was, and why that society became as great as it did, is because there wasn't just one Jesus Christ or one Nikola Tesla or one Plato at a given time in these places. Just like the fall of Atlantis, there was a whole society of people who were healing and unlocking these gifts, these unreal natural abilities that each of us possess, the star within, the diamond in the box, whatever you want to. I mean, I've used a bunch of different metaphors for it. That's how the pyramids got built. That's how all the great architecture over the course of history were built. The things we can't wrap our brains around today, how they did it. That's how they did it. And that was their belief that we all are, everything is one. We are all one, and self-improvement and doing this journey raises the frequency, raises the collective unconscious, and we are one with this universe, and we become part of it after we leave our bodies. When you are vibrating at a high frequency, you are a light being. You're a light being filled with energy. Certainly sounds like a star, doesn't it? The rest of it's just for show. Everything created from the shadow of men and get stuck in the collective unconscious when unhealed. That's really the most simple way I can put it. But the pyramids were power plants. They were tapping in to the earth. There was aquifers underneath the pyramids. The sound from the water vibrated, and it was a natural resonance with the earth. The granite was like 85% quartz. It's what it was. It was literally free, clean energy. Sustainable, free, clean energy. No need for any other type. And I tell that story, and not one last bit about the pyramids. They just happen to be in alignment with the constellation of Orion. Sacred geometry, they built it for the purpose of being in alignment with the natural energy that the earth creates. Why would they do that? Not for worship. They did it because they were tapping in. It's basically, somebody purpose, probably many people's purpose at that time, was to understand it and be able to build that. And, obviously, throughout time, things happened, and the greed and the shadow parts of our collective grew stronger until they wanted to hide these truths from us. So that I wanted to tell that part and end yesterday with the discussion about energy, because today I wanted to talk about Tesla, who that was his thing. He was all about energy. Let me just give you guys a quick synopsis of... Oh yeah, and I also talked about this week astrology, and we talked about the Bible and Carl Jung and Isis. Like, you see all these different beliefs, stuff, all like they understood astrology so that they could align with the natural energy so that they could create a sustainable free energy source that all people could live on, and there wouldn't have to be concern you can't pay your energy bill. I don't see in any way how that's bad unless you're only concerned about yourself and making a profit. That to me seems like a step backwards when you have the ability to do something like that. And here we are. It's literally, the way is how we get back to the way that was far greater than the way we are today. So, if you're curious, the sound that resonates in harmony with the earth is 440 hertz, which is the sound vibration in the pyramid. 528 hertz, if you're interested, is a natural vibration that helps with transformation and healing in the body. So, Tesla was born 1856 in Austria-Hungary and died in 1943. So, when I guess, like I said, this has been, my whole life has been, I've been attracted to things that I didn't know at the time, but were basically training sessions for where I would end up. There are no coincidences. My love for psychology, which is my favorite subject in high school, which I have always been obsessed with, like being a profiler for the FBI or something, was like, I thought that would be like the coolest job ever. But, you know, I didn't understand life and didn't apply myself, so I just didn't chase a dream. I wasn't ready at that time to do that. But I've had a fascination with true crime, serial killers. I like to know how the brain works. What happened that caused these people to do the things that they do. So, my favorite book of all time is called The Devil in the White City. It's an Eric Larson book. It talks about duality of 1893 in Chicago, the World Fair, which had like so much innovation being displayed at this World Fair. It was after the Chicago fire. They had to they had to build this exposition where people from around the world were going to come. So the duality of it is like, it's like a group of architects and landscape architects and things like that, just like trying to basically create this fake. Now I realize how like it was only a temporary thing. They did all this work just for show. But it was supposed to discuss like how this was just like an exciting time in the world where all this new, the Industrial Revolution, all this innovation was occurring. Turns out like this was the time where, I'm not saying that the inventions in themselves are bad. It's what the inventions would lead to, with basically like creating the modern school system to make us believe that we must go work a 9 to 5. The idea that we all just work to get these people who are going to just become uber wealthy and powerful, and you're working for the rest of your life barely getting by so that you can retire at 65 and basically just wait to die. Like, that was the reality of a lot of years. All those towns. I went to school, Penn State, Altoona. Used to be like a stop on the railroad. Till there's towns all over America, like the old industrial towns that just, these corporations and stuff came in, used the labor force that was there. Then, literally, when the cheaper, better opportunity came to put more money in their pocket, basically just crushed an entire town. Just pick up and leave. Leave people for generations to deal with the trauma that was caused by that thing. People get stuck in those places, get addicted to drugs, and it's all goes back to the time that their great-grandfather lost his job at the mill or the railroad, and everything just fell apart. Thousands of people in these towns all over our country. Yet we view the Industrial Revolution and what it brought with such celebration. Basically, the brainwashing of an entire society for going on 120 something years, being fed that it's all positive. Could you imagine living life back in this year or that year? Like, we always think that these people had it so much worse off than we do right now. The convenience, you think it's good, but it's not the convenience sometimes, it's the journey to do the thing. It's the intentions and the purpose and being mindful, and we don't think about anything anymore. But to get back to The Devil in the White City, Tesla was in that book. He was at the 1893 World Exposition in Chicago, basically unveiling alternating current electricity. At the same time, Thomas Edison was doing his work with direct current electricity. Ultimately, for many reasons, Edison seems to be the one that more people are familiar with and won the battle, when in reality, Tesla literally was forced into isolation and got abused and harassed and gang stalked his entire life, trying to bring ideas and inventions into this world for to better humanity, not just to make a profit. But anyway, he was in the book on the other side, the dark part of it, which is why I originally read it. I ended up learning so much from this book, but I read it because it was about the first serial killer that we've documented in like America, H.H. Holmes, and how he used all of the people coming, like the young women from far away who came on the train to go to this celebrating, innovation, how great we are doing as a world, the show that they were putting on. He was just using it for his own devices, luring these visitors, and basically had like a murder house where he just operated from for a very long time. But I loved the book back then when I read it for a completely different reason that I do now. I see things totally different now with like my takeaway from what that book actually is about. I don't know if Eric Larson was writing it for, I assume he was writing it for me to read back then. Reading it now, I would just look at it as like, this seems all so fake and unnecessary for like the AC current that Tesla was working on and developed, far greater than Edison's. But Tesla didn't play the game where Edison and later Marconi got funded by the people who had the money and the power and the influence. Tesla wouldn't play the game. So as a result, we had better technology, better things suppressed, withheld from us, so that the financiers could control and make more profit from the people who are inventing the stuff. Take advantage of the common people, like always. Same stuff that's been occurring throughout time. But we've become so accustomed to it, so accepting of it. Nowadays, it's like everybody just thinks that this is the natural way that it's supposed to work. I must be an alien, because that's a crazy concept to me. That you somehow can view that as just doing business. But why don't you actually invent something yourself. And like, it's just, all these people just got rich on the back of other people. And we just allowed it for so long, and nobody still has a problem with it. But anyway, I was drawn to that book for other reasons, but then the Tesla part of it has always been something of a memory, just a fact that I knew. Like, I know a lot of random facts about the 1893 World Fair from reading that book, but Tesla always stood out to me. I didn't really know who Tesla was at the time. They don't really teach about Tesla in schools. But then again, he shows up. So like, Christopher Nolan's one of my favorite directors. And there's a movie, The Prestige, which actually, like, it's not, I don't know how well known it is with people, but it's right up there as one of his best, if not the best. It's always been one of my favorite movies. But David Bowie plays Tesla in that as well. So two of like my favorite book and one of my favorite movies, this guy has a role in. And The Prestige is about two magicians who are going back and forth. Like, it actually is about like who you really are, the true self, and the competition, and what competition brings out of people. And it's about performance and putting on an act. So, I mean, sorry if I spoil the movie for anybody. It's been out for a long time. You know what? I'm not going to do that to you guys. If you haven't watched the movie, you should. It's a good movie. But the actual meaning behind it is like, it's showing how far people are willing to go to one up somebody else, or to keep up the illusion. And Nikola Tesla shows up in the movie, played by David Bowie, and he's working on his project to bring us free energy, which JP Morgan originally was financing. So it was the Wardenclyffe Tower. He was building it. Underneath it was an aquifer, just like the pyramids. Had copper and iron rods that ran down into the earth so that they were conductors to bring out the energy. And clearly, like, he had done tests and stuff, like he understood the technology. Funny enough, same reason that I had my awakening, same reason Carl Jung had his awakening, was we were good people who didn't want to play the game. They were trying to stay true to themselves, and they got forced into isolation by the way things work today. And then they were around at the same time. So you had two guys whose work stands the test of time, and brilliant individuals. Tesla got forced to be by himself all the time because all the sabotage and things that were going on in his life. So he was just always by himself, going inward and inventing. So his role was intended to bring the technology to life. I can't bring the technology to life. I understand it, but, that's not my bag. What he lacked was other people in other roles, like myself, in this role of storyteller. There just wasn't enough people that could protect Tesla to basically allow him to build something that would have changed everything for good. Instead, all of the people in control and power who had something to lose from this coming out stopped financing him and then ripped the tower down in 1917. Literally so that they could keep profiting from, like, JP Morgan, let's see, General Electric, AT&T, copper, rubber, steel, timber. Basically, all the things kill the planet, not live in harmony with it. All the things that were making him richer than any man needs to be in multiple lifetimes. Having, let's be honest, a labor force of slaves working in all his different factories across different countries that he wouldn't hesitate to shut down in a heartbeat, leaving an entire town devastated for years to come. That man and other men like him basically ripped down hope, the hope of a better world that one man was trying to make happen. But he stood alone because nobody else willing to do the work, willing to fight the fight or stand up to these types of people. The types of people who don't care about you in the least. That's their MO. That's how they get to the positions they get to, is they have to be that way in this world. But in the better world, those people have no power. You can basically write your story however you want. I'll be an example of that. I want to help other people do that. Like, these aren't just people who came out from birth with a fully formed person that they will become. Like myself, Tesla would have always had that, like, love for inventing and tinkering and stuff like that. Like, Carl Jung would have always had the fascination with the mind and stuff, but not until you're forced into the going inward and being in isolation and basically having the veil broken that the world is a terrible place with terrible people. There's a ton of darkness in this world. We all had to see that and experience it for ourselves. Then we ultimately can take our gifts and skills to the next level and figure out and remember who exactly we are. So I'll give you a little preview. If I know that's what it takes for people to actually get to that point, like there needs to be that huge betrayal that occurs, right? Maybe it's time to show the people just how much we've been betrayed for our entire lives. So all of those stories that we hear about, then nothing ever happens. The child sex rings, the Jeffrey Epstein. Theo Epstein was the general manager of the Red Sox, but Jeffrey Epstein and P. Diddy and all that stuff that in the past would just never go anywhere because you can't have the people who are involved actually be shown as bad people. These types of corruption, the systematic, across the board corruption that is taking place, these stories come out and we write them off. And then we write them off as like, oh, this is a one incident. And then the 24/7 news cycle that pushes something else the next day, and then the next day, and the next day, and then next thing you know, years have passed, and this thing that we should have been appalled with and still be appalled until there's justice that happens, just disappears and just gets forgotten about. That's not acceptable. I'm so sick and tired of that stuff being allowed to be normalized. So I'm literally leading the way, at least for the small part of the universe that I exist in at the moment. Do my part to encourage people to become aware and wake up and do your own research and have an open mind and study this stuff. Whatever it takes to, like, maybe have a light bulb go off so you can get ahead of the chaos that will occur when the time comes. Like, trust me, I'm a lot more relaxed than the people who know what I'm saying has truth behind it. It's much better to be on this team, on my side, with literally living life in harmony with the planet and nature exactly how it was intended. I have nothing to be concerned about or worried. But plenty of people do. Man, I tell you what, I don't miss the anxiety, the stress, and the something always seemingly so important. I can't wait till tomorrow. So forget about your family. Skip this thing that's important to you because somebody else needs it now. Nah, absolutely not. Never again. Why? So that you can make money and advance and then get power yourself so then you can take advantage of people. Like, I'm not interested in that career ladder. It's probably why I've been unemployable, despite the fact that I possess the skills, obviously, to succeed. But I can't be controlled the way that they like it. So, just like Tesla, they finance and support somebody who can be, who doesn't realize that that's exactly their role, is just a puppet. And a lot of you don't realize that your role was just being a puppet. That's how they see you. Believe me, I know. They tried to pull my strings for a long time. So, yeah, the tower got knocked down in 1917. I want to give you, there's so much about Tesla, but the main thing I wanted to talk about with him is like the energy, and how he had the technology to do the very thing that the Egyptians had already done 5,000 years ago, that they've convinced us that's not what it was. Then so Tesla was clearly tapped in. He used to talk about the 369 method. There's people who aren't as advanced, I guess, with this. Like, I had never given it too much thought, but as soon as I just thought about it, then I realized what he meant. But some people try to tell you it was like he was trying to give you his tips on the art of manifestation, where you write it down a certain amount of times, which actually probably works as well. Like, that's probably not wrong, but what he's probably talking about, or I would assume he's talking about, is, so 3, 6, and 9, he was in, like numerology and ancient geometry and stuff. Like, all this stuff matters. So number 3 represents a direct link to the universe and its creative forces. Okay? So like the downloads and the ideas that when you're in alignment with the universe and you're doing the thing you're supposed to be doing, the universe assists you, just like I had talked about. So represents a direct link to the universe and its creative forces. We're talking about one of the most brilliant people that ever walked the planet. He's telling us the secret, and nobody seems to want to listen to it. Number 6 symbolizes the strength and potential within ourselves. Would you look at that? Unlocked potential. The diamonds in the box. The stars within. It seems like so similar to the system that I had developed on my own with the help of the universe. Being in alignment. Being told, given the same messages as Tesla was 120 years ago. Like, I didn't base my belief on knowing the 369 principle, like, or method. I literally wrote it down before I came here today. Like, obviously, Plato and Isis didn't have conversations, yet have the same beliefs. Civilizations across oceans have the same exact beliefs and pictures, and they're all in alignment with the same things. People with living in the box that we're supposed to think in would be like, oh, somebody must have traveled all that way and then convinced an entire society to do it this way. And like, that sounds ridiculous. Like, the much more likely scenario is that it was a high vibrational society, civilization living at a high frequency, where there didn't take a lot of convincing because they were all getting the same downloads. Like, they understood that this is what they were supposed to be doing. They weren't pushing the boulder up a mountain for infinity. Like, they clearly saw the path to a better world, and then they built it. I see the path to a better world. I'm speaking about it, and other people, I'm sure, have the capability and the skill set to build it. Yet, there's resistance because we've gotten too far. We're too low. We're vibrating too low. So the things that could help us can't come to be in existence until that changes. That's why we need to raise the frequency, so we can actually do the thing. Like, Tesla spent his life trying to accomplish that mission, but couldn't get through to the people. But that wasn't his role. He did his part. He brought the thing to life. So, I'm playing my role in the universe's plan. Do you have an issue with that? The universe is going to have a problem with it. So number 9 helps in releasing negativity and achieving balance and harmony. Wow. Balance and harmony, not just within the body, but back to the earth, to the planet. We are all one, living in balance and harmony. It's almost like a return to Eden. But we're all so different. So many different belief systems that just don't agree. We're divided. We must pick this corrupt person or this corrupt person to represent us. It's, like I said, this stuff has been clear to me since I've been 6 years old. It's why my life has been the way it's been. It's really hard when you see this stuff and believe it to walk freely on this planet. There's a lot of lessons I had to learn before I could actually learn to do it in peace. But if a 6-year-old can have that deep of an understanding of how it's working. I don't know how nobody else even seems to question it anymore. Asking questions is a taboo thing these days. I've used this before, but I think it's always fitting. That's crazy. Like, to say the things that I am talking about somehow makes me delusional or crazy. I haven't seen anybody else. Like, nothing I'm saying here is fabricated or made up. Like, all this stuff is true over the course of time. That all connects and all literally tells the same exact story in different times and in different beliefs and different professions and different methods of proving it. All these people, like, we consider to have great minds, were saying it. And somehow we write it off as it's like fiction. Like, they wouldn't say these things and make them up if that's not what they believed. They didn't live privileged lives of comfort. We're talking about the people who went through the struggle. And because of it, was forced to better themselves and then gain the knowledge to understand on a much deeper level this information. And then because the exact reason they got put in that situation to begin with, because they're not like everybody else, they want to share it with the world so that they can still make it a better place. And they still get ostracized and isolated and alienated. Why people watch. It's like, is that the world you want to continue living in? Or do you want to do, like, the reason it is so hard for me is because nobody's supporting you through it too. Like, you truly are isolated and by yourself. But if there's more people going down the same path and everybody's a little bit more understanding and supportive, that's a great start. Just that alone. It doesn't have to be this horrific thing to, like, change some habits and hold yourself a little bit more accountable and speak to people a little nicer. You just have to have the mindset that you're going to do it and actually not just give up immediately or fall back into allowing yourself to be distracted all the time and focused and worried. So anyway, I'm going to end with some Tesla quotes. Like I said, Tesla did a million things that are worth exploring, but I just thought that these were the most relevant to, I can't do them justice anyway, so if you're interested, I would recommend doing your own research on him. But, alright, so here's a few quotes from him. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. He was trying to bring natural energy. He understood the frequencies that are at play in the earth, raising the vibration of the collective. Like, he's literally talking about the solution to the problems that we are creating. We are the creator, the architect. God is within us. We are the creator. Sorry, guys. I know it's a lot to believe in something your whole life and then have it not be true. So be alone. That is the secret of invention. Be alone. That is when ideas are born. So I talked yesterday about the collective unconscious and my belief about ideas and how they work. So when you're protecting your energy and you're isolating and you're going inward and you're raising your vibration and your frequency, he's basically saying that's when the universe starts to gift you the ideas. You're focusing your energy on things. You're asking questions. That's where your mind is going. And then you are taking part in creating the answer to come to you. And you get the idea. Like the good idea doesn't come to the person who's never thought about that thing in their life. Or doesn't have the skill set to make that idea a reality. It comes to the idea that the universe thinks is somebody that can handle the idea and run with it. You have to understand your intuition and when you're tapped in, but otherwise could be the shadow and all the unhealed stuff that's driving the ship. That's the whole reason for the healing. When you heal that stuff, you're basically tapped in. Like when you raise your frequency and then you stay up there and not bring it down to match other people, you're basically being fed the best ideas all the time. And you have the skills and stuff that you've been training your whole life. So you're basically living in your purpose, using the things that you are already good at and enjoy doing. Like, that will be your purpose. It will be the thing you're passionate about and you're good at, you enjoy doing. It doesn't feel like work at all. So for me, that thing was writing. But in order to prepare me for this, they needed me to talk. So that's why I had that crazy urge to get on Facebook and just start public speaking for the first time in my life, because I had to become comfortable with it, because it's going to play a big part moving forward in my life. And I have to be able to not stress out and live in fear and like be riddled with anxiety every time I'm forced to do it. I'm getting pretty comfortable. So everything happens for a reason. Tesla agrees. And you're alone. That's when the good ideas come. Not, you don't make good decisions or have good ideas when you're being influenced by a group of people who you don't know what their motivation or intention is behind it. I know people think the titles here mean things. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, like, so much behavior is coming from unhealed. It's your shadow. It's the parts of us that we haven't developed and don't know how to handle certain things, so we react in a certain way. It's not always malicious and intentional, but it still has an effect on people, a negative one. And when you have negative effects on other people and raise or lower their frequency or steal their energy, that's a selfish act. The person who could do great things is being prevented from doing those things. And the person might not even know that they're doing this. It's why we have to bring the unconscious to the conscious mind. It's another bridge. We have to bridge that gap. We have to bring the unconscious to the conscious mind so we can make the right choices and decisions for this world, for our kids, for generations to come. That we're not the people in the history books that they're talking about how selfish and how we ruined society for hundreds of years after we lived here. That's the legacy that we're about to leave if things don't change. Luckily, I'm very confident that they are going to. So, yeah, at a certain point, so you want to be early to the party or late? I never loved parties. I would go, but I prefer one-on-one interactions. I think I've explained why that is now. I didn't know it at the time, but yeah, we were getting literally like drained in certain environments. Certain people are literally robbing the essence from us. If you're not aware of yourself and your body and how you feel, like you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Somebody else is gaining from it. So, another quote, peace in the world can only come as a natural consequence of universal illumination. He's talking about mass awakening, an enlightenment period. Like, pretty self-explanatory. Originality thrives in seclusion, free of outside influencers beating up upon us to cripple the creative mind. Well said, Mr. Tesla. Well said. I mean, it's not a coincidence that young Tesla, myself, all experienced the same thing of people trying to discredit us and harass us and make our lives completely miserable while all we are doing is minding our business, trying to invent something, to create something. Does that not strike anybody as a weird common thread? That when you're talking about something that goes against the people who make money off of taking advantage of us. Seems like whenever you're working on something, talking negatively about them, they try to destroy your life. Yet, I don't even know, like, I really don't waste a lot of my mental energy with it, but it'll be humorous to hear just how ridiculous some of the claims that they made about me that so many people probably just ate up and believed without anything to truly support it. Like, I'm sure they didn't waste any of their time or energy or money to make it elaborate and forge the stuff and create fake proof that I'm this way or that way, but like, it'll just end up all coming out that not only did they like attempt to just lie in general, it'll be the extent that they went to make other people believe the lie that they told. Then they will cry and wonder why all this bad stuff comes into their lives with zero self-awareness, that they spent hours upon hours upon hours of talking negatively about me and creating an illusion of who I was and what I was about. But as always, it'll be my fault that they're in that situation, because I didn't bend to their will. Instinct is something which transcends knowledge. So basically what he's saying is, if you trust your intuition, it doesn't matter how many books you read or how your recall. I can get the answer to pretty much any question that I want at this point. You just need to ask and know how to receive it. So, yeah, that's what he's talking about. If your hate could be turned into electricity, it would light up the world. Sure would. Sure would. Imagine a world where the untamed power of nature is harnessed not for destruction, but for the betterment of humanity. Mic drop. Mic drop for Tesla. I don't understand. I mean, he's asking the question the same way that I am, just like not really understanding how, like, obviously Tesla's imagination, just like my own, has always been strong, robust, or vast, like, we have an active imagination, but it's not we just have to believe it. Like, it's not a thing that should be hard to imagine. I've said it before, it's not a unrealistic goal. The same thing he's saying is that he's like kind of asking the general population, like, can you please imagine that this is possible? Because if you can do it, I can build it. But I understand I understand, like, a lot of the things that he talks about, because like I said, when you get to the certain point, the messages are all the same. It's just your role that you play that's different. So at a certain point, you start looking at other people, and it's like you're either on the team that's willing to care about themselves and to put the improvement of an entire world, take their role and responsibility in doing that, or you're on the side that can't be bothered. Fairly black and white, and not like it doesn't mean I'm going to be mean to everybody who doesn't want anything to do with it. Like, I'm not going to be mean to anybody. I simply return the energy that people send at me. So if for some reason I'm not nice to you, that's a reflection of the energy you're putting off. If you're vibrating on a high frequency and you're putting off great energy, you're going to see the nicest guy ever. That's how it works. But what I'm not doing is lowering to your frequency, and until you heal, you can't just choose to raise up the mind. So clearly we're just not going to see eye to eye. We're not vibing. So many words and phrases literally are saying the exact thing, yet you guys still argue with me. You think I like his vibe, or like we're vibing means we're on the same frequency, we're literally in tune with each other. I mean, like I said, I've only scratched this tip of the iceberg with this stuff. Like, I was thinking next week, dive into the other side of the coin. All the people like JP Morgan throughout time. It'll probably be heavily focused on figures that from our world, though. The Industrial Revolution, or more current ones that are doing things that just somehow they convince us is for the greater good, while their wallets and bank accounts keep getting exponentially bigger, yet the energy that could already have been free for over 100 years, people can't pay their bills. It's not like I'm the only one who knows this stuff. Plenty of other people well aware of the truth behind the curtain. Anyway, that's day 4 at Earth University. I'll be back tomorrow. Hope everybody had a great day. Talk to you guys soon.